こんにちは、ハリケーンフットボールです。今回の教材は、ブライトンの三笘薫に関する動画です。三笘薫が復帰してからのブライトンは、アーセナルに2対1で敗戦し、ウエストハムに2対2で引き分けました。三笘薫はいずれも途中出場で、少なくないインパクトを残しており、三笘薫の復帰がブライトンの復調の兆しに感じている人も少なくないのではないでしょうか。今回はブライトンのファンチャンネルである、Talk Seagullsから、三笘の復帰がチームにとってどれだけいいことなのかを語っています。実際のどのように話しているのか、チェックしてみましょ
う。Yeah. To be fair to Arsenal, it was good game management.
Yeah.
I mean, apart from the dive-in, which I thought was ridiculous. The cheating from Raya was driving me crazy, right?
Yeah.
And fair enough. But other than that bit, they were fantastic at killing the game off. They really were mature. And I think that was where I saw a complete golfing quality, not just sort of on the ball, but off it. They just knew what to do. They knew how to frustrate us. And I think once they could tell they were frustrating us, they already had us in their pocket. And I think, we had that push, didn't we, for that sort of 10 minutes or so where there was a chance. I think if Kadioglu shoots in that situation, it's a different story.
Yeah,
why he tried to put that back across the box, I don't know.
Really don't know.
Yeah.
Only you could tell us that.
Yeah, Ferdy on the pod next week. But I do rate Ferdy this year. I think he's been one of our better players.
I would say that as well.
Yeah.
I'd say him and Verbruggen.
Yeah.
I'd say have been our best two.
I think Minte was up there for a bit.
Yeah, I would have put him up there for the first, bit of the season, and then he started trying to play him out of position. And then I think it didn't help that we were relying on him more because Matoma was out. So when you're playing a left winger that, for example, Diego Gomez or De Kuyper, they're not left wingers.
Yeah.
So when we're going through them, they haven't really got the kind of ability and quality that Matoma had. And when we've had Matoma the past few years, we go through him a lot.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really take, it takes the pressure off Minter, but now the pressure's kind of on him. It's harder. It's been harder. It's a lot harder for him, is what I'd say.
I think you can see that actually when he came on against Arsenal.
Definitely,
that all of a sudden he is like our system, effectively. As you say, like
definitely.
The last couple of months, I'd say, since when did Matoma get injured? Like September?
It was Chelsea away.
Yeah, Chelsea,
September.
So he's been out for quite a while now. So we've had to sort of mitigate that. As you say, De Kuyper's nowhere near the level of Mitoma going forward. I think he is a good box crasher, if you like. I think he's good at being in the box. He's got a decent finish on him, to be fair. But I think his actual overall game is nowhere near the level of Mitoma, and I don't expect it to be, because Mitoma is a world-class talent. But as you say, that Minte thing, I think that, you definitely notice a bit of pressure on him now. I think it's quite easy to double, triple up on him. People allowing him a little bit more space so he doesn't run in behind. So he's not quite allowed the joy that he was in the first few months. But what kind of annoys me is a lot of people get on Minte's back, I feel like. And I just find it a bit weird. Like, I think this happened with Mitoma for a bit when we lost Solly.
Yeah, definitely.
And it just frustrates me when I look at the team and it's like, but people can slate those players, but then there's certain other players and tactics that people don't want to slate. I just always find it weird how that works.
Yeah, I find that as well, because you've got, the main thing I have with Minter at the moment is I think he's too, one-footed, that people now know what he's going to do. So I feel like people get more frustrated because he's trying to do the same thing every time and they're reading him. So I think that's why they're getting a bit frustrated, because I was speaking to someone about it and they were saying he's very one-dimensional. And that's why I feel like they try to put him on the left side. I think it was like November time.
Yeah, it was that Chelsea game, I think. He got the assist for Welbeck.
He did, that great ball in. So, he had that. And then I feel like he is one-dimensional now.
Yeah.
Which is the only problem I really have with him. I like him. Very good player. He has been one of our better players this season. But I just feel like the pressure was really on him. It has been. Hopefully now he'll, we could play a little bit better when we've got Matoma on the left and Minter on the right, because I think that is probably our best wingers.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, I mentioned it before, but when you lost Solly in that period when he'd done his ACL, the Mitoma and Solly partnership that we had for a period of time was so lethal, and they got so many goals and assists out of the two of them. And the difference it makes having two wingers on the pitch, it sounds ridiculous, sounds obvious, but like, it just, especially when they're at the level that those two can be. We saw it, I think it was against Chelsea earlier in the year when, well, actually both times, to be honest, they both tormented them, didn't they, in separate different games. Mitoma got a brace. No, Minte got a brace.
Minte got the brace and Mitoma scored that goal where Verbruggen passed it to him.
And that week, twice in the week, ole ole, that was
Unreal.
unbelievable. But a big part of that was down to those two.
It was, yeah, massive part because they couldn't handle him.
No.
And it was good. It was against Cucurella as well, which great watch.
Always feels
Great
better, doesn't it?
Yeah, always feels so much better, especially beating Chelsea. It always feels amazing.
Yeah, of course it does. But then, there's that period of the year where I look back in February time, and I thought we're in a good moment. I thought we were winning a lot of games, maybe against the run of play at times. I think that Bournemouth game where we won that game, which I didn't think we particularly deserved to win, but we did. And I think, it's that last goal from Welbeck, which was that took ages to sort of roll in on the post. And the beginning of the year, there was probably a bit of a different feel apart from a certain game which comes instantly to mind in the beginning of the year, which we'll come on to the bad moments in a minute. But we had that game run, didn't we? It was five wins in a row, or 5
wins,
unbeaten.
5 or 6. I think it was 6 unbeaten because then we drew to Man City.
That was it.
Yeah.
And that was a good moment. I'm looking back on the positives as well as the negatives, and I felt good then. And I do think a big part of that was down to having a bit more balance probably in the squad.
Definitely,
I think when I look at the squad from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, we had João Pedro, who I think's been given so much disrespect since he's left.
100%.
I think he was such a fantastic player, and I think he helped get the best out of Mitoma.
100%.
And Georgie as well, who's had a pretty poor season.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
I do agree. I would say that, he hasn't really, got the goal contributions to show for it. He scored that goal against West Ham, and then obviously he's put one in the wrong net on Saturday. Which ain't great, but I just think that him and João Pedro played really well together, which I think he really bounced off, and now he hasn't got that. It's not the same with Welbeck, even though they've been good when they played together, but I just don't think it's the same. I think that's why he struggled so much.
Yeah. What do you think the difference is between Welbeck and Pedro?
Welbeck and Pedro. Well, Welbeck's he's a poacher. Is what he is. I think Pedro is one of them players where you play in the 10. Well, Welbeck's obviously the 9. But you play Pedro in the 10. We've seen that last year when we played him in the 10. He was good. He was one of our best players last year. That's what I'd say anyway. Some people may, not agree with it, but I'd say he was one of our most beneficial players last year. We had them games where you'd know that he'd pull something out the bag. You know what I mean? It was one of even in the first season when we had him, in the Europe season, you just knew he was going to come up with something.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I think they're both very different players. And obviously Welbeck's been unbelievable this season, really, hasn't he? Let's be honest. He's been unreal. But I think Jorginho has struggled a lot because he hasn't had Pedro with him.
I think a big part of it is, Welbeck's running is good, but it's not the same as Pedro's in terms of distance covered, I think.
Yeah, and that brings me on to Newcastle away, where, do you remember when Pedro ran his absolute socks off all game? Just don't feel like we've got anyone who would do that this year.
Minte is probably the only one.
Yeah, that's the only one I'd say. You can tell he runs his socks off.
Minte runs everywhere.
Like that Chelsea game. I don't know if you remember the video. You can see where he's just running, 95th minute, he's just running in.
That was mad.
And then because of his press, we then scored the goal.
Yeah. And that's when Hurt's ball works, it actually looks all right.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
That high press is kind of what it's all about, and it looks good. And, when you've got players like Minte, it works. I think that the trouble is you probably don't have that balance across the squad, and that's why I raised the point over Pedro was, I think this season we've noticed a big kind of drop-off in terms of individual talent. I think, one of them is unfortunate for us in Mitoma. But then again, you probably want to plan for that with the squad planning and buying another left winger. I'm not saying Adingra was a world-class player for us, but you lose Adingra, you lose Mitoma at any time. You then expecting a lot of De Kuyper or Tommy Watson, who we've not really seen a great deal of.
Yeah,
I don't think we've really had much help in terms of that. So that's one thing I will empathise with is the squad planning has been somewhat poor, I'd say. I think
I'd agree, yeah. I'd agree with you.
The recruitment's been questionable, I think, in terms of where we're kind of weak on is very weak, and that's reflected, I think, in a lot of games where, as you say, Minte on one side, triple up on him, no Mitoma, no worries,
Exactly.
And it's become quite easy to work out, probably.
Yeah.
次は解説です。今回はイディオム的な表現や口語表現を主に解説しています。それでは本日の解説をチェックしてみましょう。
They already had us in their pocket.
Have someone in one's pocket は相手を完全にコントロールしている状態を表すイディオムです。スポーツでは試合の流れや心理面まで含めて相手を支配している時によく使われます。サッカー解説では すでに勝負が決まっていたというニュアンスを含むこともあります。一方で、人間関係に使うと操作的に聞こえる場合があるため注意が必要です。この表現は単に勝っているだけでなく、余裕を持って相手を動かしている印象を与えます。実況や解説ではとても自然ですが、フォーマルな場面では避けた方が無難です。文脈によって強さが変わる表現として覚えておくと便利です。
They already had us in their pocket. They already had us in their pocket. But people can slate those players.
スレイトは、もともと石板やスレートを意味する単語です。昔はこのスレイトが、黒板のように文字を書く道具として使われていました。文字を書いて、不要になれば削って消すという使い方です。そこから相手について容赦なく書き立てるというイメージが生まれました。評価や意見を石板に刻むように、次々と書き並べる感覚です。その結果、現代英語では、スレイトが厳しく批判する、酷評するという意味で使われるようになりました。特にスポーツやメディアでは、選手やチームを強く叩く時の定番表現として使われます。
People can slate those players. People can slate those players. They both tormented them, didn't they?
トーメントは相手を一度だけではなく、繰り返し苦しめることを表す動詞です。サッカーでは、スピードやドリブル、裏への動きなどで相手を翻弄し続ける場面で使われます。単に勝った、抜いたというよりも、相手が対応できず、消耗していく様子を含みます。フィジカルで押すというより、技術や判断で苦しめるニュアンスが強いです。守備側がずっと嫌な思いをさせられている時にぴったりの表現です。実況や解説でよく使われる、感情のこもった言い回しです。日常英語では、精神的な苦しさを表すこともあります。
They both tormented them, didn't they? They both tormented them, didn't they?
Which I think he really bounced off, and now he hasn't got that.
Bounce off someone は、人との相性や関係性によって良い影響を受けることを表す交互表現です。お互いに当たって反応して勢いが増すイメージです。サッカーでは相性の良い選手同士が一緒にプレーすることで力を発揮する場面で使われ、単独で活躍するというより、誰かがいることで生きるタイプの選手に対してよく使われます。ポジティブな意味合いが強く、選手を擁護する文脈でも便利な表現で、連携や化学反応を説明したいときにとても自然です。解説や雑談でよく登場するネイティブらしい言い回しです。人間関係や仕事の場面でも応用できます。
Which I think he really bounced off, and now he hasn't got that. Which I think he really bounced off, and now he hasn't got that. It's like that he'd pull something out the bag.
Pull something out of the bag は、ここぞという場面で予想外の結果やプレーを見せるときに使われる表現です。サッカーでは、試合が膠着しているときや、負けそうな状況で活躍する選手に対してよく使われます。単にうまいというより、勝負強さや意外性を強調する言い回しです。解説では、エースや経験豊富な選手を評価する際によく登場します。直訳は袋から何かを取り出すですが、意味は完全に比喩です。鑑定いる側の期待感や驚きを含んだ、ポジティブなイディオムです。日常英語でも使えますが、特にスポーツ文脈で品質します。
Oh, that he'd pull something out the bag. That he'd pull something out the bag.
いかがでしたか？特にミンテと三笘が揃うことによって、脅威が増し上、バランスが取れ、ミンテへの負担も軽減でき、お互いがさらに生きるだろうということでした。それ以上に、三笘自身がワールドクラスであり、違いを見せられることが前提であり、他の選手とは比較もできないといった感じでした。三笘はもうドリブルはできなくなったのかという問いに対して、三笘は進化しているために、あえてドリブルをしない選択をしていると、信者っぽい理由を話している人もいましたが、この2試合を見ただけでも、ドリブルで何度も仕掛ける三笘が戻ってきていることが、何より一番の興奮ポイントではないでしょうか。明らかに脅威になっている三笘が早速見れて、今後の楽しみしかない気分ですが、ただただ怪我をすることなく、少しずつでも、さらに良いプレーを継続して見せてくれることを期待し、楽しみにしたいと思います。本日もご視聴いただきありがとうございました。またすぐにお会いしましょう。